Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cup of Joe with Joe and Joe podcast. I am your host, Joe, and with me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Joe.
Oh boy, we got part 2, baby. I mean, Joe, I think this show gets better with age. Like, I thought the first part was pretty damn good. I think I like the second part more.
That is wonderful to hear because I too enjoy the show as it goes on. Today, I just completely tripped out my own mouth.
That was a good
Today,
seizure. Top 10 seizures right there.
Welcome to Watch Mojo. Today we're going to be looking at the top 10 seizures of 2021. Today we are going to be looking at Gurren Lagann. This is part 2. We're looking at episodes 9 through 15. So if you missed part 1, go back a week on our channel. It'll be there. Part 1 is there. Then go forward into the future a week, and then part 3 will be here, which will be the conclusion of this. But today we're just looking at episodes 9 through 15. So, Joe, as you said, you've been enjoying this more, as it turns out. So this arc, what you thinking? What's going through your mind?
All right, so this is Nia's arc. Nia, and the name is Nia. I realize that sounded weird with the possessive, but it's Nia's arc. So I mean, we come with episode 9. We got our new intro, which at first I'm like, wait a minute, is that different? I'm like, wait, Kamina's not in it.
Kamina.
Yeah.
Tetsuo. Kamina.
Also, I might be tripping, but is the animation better?
I feel like more budget was put towards this stuff. So yeah, I think some of the animation is better. Definitely when you get towards like episode 14, episode 15, animation goes up quite a bit because those are important episodes. But yeah, I think overall the animation, they're getting more confident. They probably were like, all right, let's put more budget towards like the end of this stuff because people are already invested in this thing. So I think you're right.
And at the beginning of this episode, we even though we knew of the 4 generals and we met the one general that ended up fighting with Viral for the big fight for Dai-Gurren, we see the other 3 that are left, and they're talking with the Spiral King, and we get a better idea of what he looks like. And this is, I brought this up last week, where I thought one of the characters was voiced by the same woman who does Mai from Yu-Gi-Oh! And Joe, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, or I'm not sure if you hear this as well, that the one woman that's the general, the Scorpion chick.
Yes.
Is she
Adina Menzel?
Yeah. Is she voiced by Mai, or am I?
I think it's the same English voice actor who voiced Mai. Yeah, because when I listened to it after like hearing you talk about that, I was like, I wonder. And so when that episode came up, I was like, yep, I'm 98% sure this is the voice actress for Mai.
Yeah, like I can hear it in my head, her yelling at Joey.
Yes.
So that's cool, and we find out that in this episode, Simone hit an emo phase, understandably. But at the same time, even from this episode, he was pissing me off. I really okay. Where is it?
This is the vent time.
Oh, okay. Till the end of episode 11, I really fucking hated Simone for those like 2.5 episodes, because he's literally so fucking emo. It's like the most dramatic thing ever, which I get it. His bro died, but like, oh my goodness, it's bad. It's real rough. So Simone is in a bit of a pit right now. And the other big thing from episode 9 is we get introduced to Nia, who we find out is the Spiral King's daughter.
She is a princess.
Yeah, she is a classic princess, and
classic Disney princess
with like very interesting eyes, very interesting pupils. But
don't think about it.
Simone ends up saving her because he saw a gunman throwing this like it's almost like a cooler, a very heavy duty cooler over this cliff, and Simone's like, what the heck? And he opens it up, and it's this girl sleeping in it, and that's Nia, and that's how she joins the gang.
Yes. Surprise girl. No one ever expects the surprise girl.
No one ever expects a surprise girl like the surprise scorpion.
Exactly. A lot of carryovers from the comic episode.
Exactly.
A lot of bits. Um, yeah, so we find, not we, well, we, the royal we, I'm stating, us and God, Joe. We find Nia.
I don't believe in God.
Well, he's with you all the same. Christ be with you. Anyway, Simone finds Nia. They have a nice little adventurous romp for all of about 30 seconds before a gunman appears behind them, very silently, I might add, too silently. And then they're like, oh shit, we gotta fucking run. So they start running. This is still, yeah, we're in the heat of Simone's emo phase. Mm-hmm. So he is not at all able to pilot his gunman. And he gets saved by... It's Yoko, I believe, right? She fires a shot, and she's just like, "Yeah, get the fuck out of there." And so Nia takes Simone's hand. They run away. They eventually get out, and everything is fine. Adina shows up. I think her name is Adine, but I find it funnier to call her Adina Menzel, like how John Travolta messed up. What the fuck was that? What's her actual name? Do you remember?
Oh my goodness.
Who sang "Let It Go"? No, wait, Adina Menzel is the correct one. Adele Dazeem is what John Travolta said. I'm the idiot here. Never mind. But so she shows up in the first episode, and she's just like, "Hey, I'm going to kill you all." And then Nia is like, "Hey, I'm here." And she's like, "Oh, I'll be back." And then episode 10 comes along, and then she returns because the Spiral King is like, "Yeah, I cast her out. She means nothing to me." And she's like, "Oh, I'm going to go rectify that mistake right now." And so she returns, and she's just like, "I'm going to fucking kill all of you." And then they're all like, "Bet." And they fight. And then Viral shows up and is like, "Hey, Adina, we got to go." And she's like, "No, I must die here." And he's like, stop being an asshole." And so they run off. Or he actually, he does like the stupid, like a ninja or like a Batman thing. He's just like, "Smoke bomb." And they're just gone. And they're just like,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they get out of there. And then episode 11, I'm like blasting through the sad
Oh
Simone
no, you're
arc.
good. Like the only note I have for 10 was that Nia was de-owned and Viral is back.
Yep, that's pretty much it. And then episode 11 comes up, and you see at the beginning of this, Simone is like, I have Simone the sculptor. He's just sculpting Bro or Kamina, just a whole lot. And I love the dynamic between him and Nia, because Nia is so sweet and innocent, and she's just like, she sees the potential inside of Simone, and she understands that he's just going through a rough time. Yoko also understands this, but she blows up at Nia because she doesn't understand things, and then also she and the rest of Dai-Gurren are just kind of like, so he's kind of a lost cause. He's just sad all the time, so fuck him. And I'm just like, all right, steady on. You could, like, I don't know, be a bit more supportive or something. But I understand the fact that they're like, he's got to get himself out of the funk. And I also am like, yeah, like, you can help, but eventually Simone's got to be the one to get Simone out of the funk. Believe in the Simone that Kamina believed in to believe in Simone.
Exactly.
And also add a Yoko in there.
Yeah, the first, 5-7 minutes of this episode are really just trying to hit home how fucking lost Simone is.
Yeah.
And it's a big culmination of, it peaks of, what the past two other episodes did. It really hit me in 11. I'm like, holy crap, he is really just down in the dumps. It is bad.
Yes, which I think works incredibly well for then the end of this episode when Simone finally comes out of it, and it's so awesome seeing him fucking combine and make Gurren Lagann again, and then when he does that triumphant stand on top of the head with Nia in the cockpit as well, and he's just like, "I am here to fuck shit up." Direct quote, by the way. It's in the show, trust me. And he just goes in and he's fighting, I believe it's the armadillo guy, Guam, yeah, that's his name. He's fighting with those guys, but it's wonderfully satisfying to have gone through the last about 3 episodes with sad Simone, and then to come out of it with just hype as fuck Simone.
Yeah, the last note I have for that episode is Simone is back, baby.
Simone is back.
We do get a little bit of important information though in the episode that like we get there's hints from the Spiral King that the little gunman is special, um,
Hmm.
Lagann, um, and we also find out the Spiral King is immortal. Um, they kind of hint at that, like he's been around forever, and he like
He's been around for a while.
um, yeah. So that was interesting. And also I have a note that Guam. I like Guam actually. I think he's a pretty cool character, and that he's tough as hell.
Hmm. Bit of a creep.
A little
A
bit.
lot of a creep. I like the little bitch slap that Nia gives him. She's like, "Get the fuck out of my face, Jesus." Okay, then we move on to episode
The
12.
beach day episode. Um,
Beach episode, baby.
they found the sea, and I like the. I just couldn't stop thinking about Attack on Titan. Uh,
Oh, right, yes. Very different
yeah,
emotional context in both instances.
yeah. But I was thinking about that. It's a fun beach day episode. The one thing I wanted to point out in this episode that I started noticing is, um, Simone has been wearing his glasses or goggles a lot more. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, like he'll start actually putting them on in different instances. I think it's just like whatever the scenario calls for, and just so happens all of a sudden now he finds himself in a lot more scenarios where he's like, yeah, I could probably put these on and it'll be hype as fuck. You know
Yeah.
that point.
I also think it's like a reference to Kamina throwing his glasses on as well. Um,
Oh,
that that
I
that
never
was
thought of it
that
that
was the
way.
point I was trying to make. Like, now that like Simone's kind of stepping up, filling in for Kamina's position, it's like kind of taking one of the traits that Kamina have, of, like his big dramatic sunglasses and always putting them on. So I don't know. It was just a little thing where I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, had Simone like been wearing those goggles slash glasses a lot in the earlier episodes? And I was like, no, not really, except for when he was digging. I'm like, but now and like even like some of like the fights and stuff, he puts them on. And I was like, oh, I'm like, maybe this is like a reference to Kamina or something.
Mm, I like that. That is thematically fulfilling. So I'm going to say it is correct. um, yeah, that is cool. And then continue actually because I have a little thing, Joe, that I think might be a controversial opinion, as much as this kind of opinion can be controversial, because it's not. It's very inconsequential. Um, we get different like character designs for some of these, like some of our main crew in this episode, because it's the beach episode and they're all wearing different stuff. And I think the biggest change is probably Yoko's design, where she goes from having all this other stuff on her, and it's like pretty dark, like dark blues and things like that, and it's very revealing, to then going to a less revealing bathing suit that is bright yellow. And I'm just gonna say it, Joe. I like this character design, I think, more than Yoko's original design.
Joe likes them Christian girls.
Leave a little bit to the imagination, just like Yoko said.
Yeah, I found that really funny. I don't know if I would agree with you, but I would take Yoko any day. That's all I gotta say.
Out for a picnic, obviously. Um, this episode also has the return of Adina Menzel, or Adele Dazeem, and she comes on in and she's with Viral, and they're like, "All right, you're in the water, you're fucked. You may have some big ass flippers on those feet. They ain't gonna help you here though." And Gurren eventually, because he's the only one waterproof because of fighting spirit, um, he gets thrown into the water, and then he starts drilling through the water, and I'm like, this is so fucking cool. It's just the amount of different ways that they're using a drill. I'm like, it's kind of stupid, but also I don't fucking care because it's wonderful and I love it. And just seeing him drill through the water, like drilling through dirt, I'm like, hell yes, it's so good.
Yeah, the more absurd, the absurdity works for this show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it doesn't go against it. Really, there hasn't really been anything that's like crazy absurd where I'm like, that was just stupid. It's like, nope, that follows, that connects.
Hmm. I would. No, I'm not gonna say anything. Actually, because it's fun just to experience things as they happen. So, swiftly moving on to episode 13. What did I title this? I titled this Air Battle. Why did I title this the Air Battle? Oh, yes, because they're fighting against Bird Boy. I don't remember Bird Boy's name. I didn't
I
write
don't
it
have a
down. He's
name.
like the least
I
interesting.
do say this is my favorite episode out of this little out of this arc
Really? Why is that?
because short hair Nia is best girl.
Mm. I don't understand why there's always a trope of a character with long hair and then they get cut with again they get I need to speak, Joe. And then they get it cut so that they have short hair. I don't understand why that's such a big trope. Also, it pains me because I'm a real big fan of long hair, so that's just personal. That's a personal problem, and I'm working through it with my therapist.
Well, it's the fact like the short hair Nia. I gotta say like that really, and seeing her cook and the fact that she's a terrible cook, I thought was hilarious. She's adorable.
It's very funny.
I love her. But also I like the air battles a lot. I found them super cool, and seeing Yoko pilot Gurren, and her kind of just like pausing before she kind of sat down in there and realizing like, oh man, like this is where Kamina, like this was his home. I don't know, like that weight really connected with me. And then the big thing that I really liked that I completely forgot about is you finally realize that that the enemy doesn't know Kamina's dead.
Yes. Yeah, this is. I can understand now why this is one of your favorite episodes of this arc because there is a lot of this stuff. I have written down in my notes exactly Yoko and Simone piloting Gurren Lagann and the weight with that because obviously they're both kind of realizing for the first time this like Yoko hasn't stepped in here since then, and it's a pretty big deal for both of them. And then Viral realizing he's been losing to Simone is my next note because for all this time he's just been like, "Where is Kamina? Show me Kamina!" And then finally he realizes like there's a child and a woman in this thing. What the fuck? And then he's like, "Yeah, so you've been losing to me," and that sends him off. He's like, "No way!" And so Simone gets in the robot and he starts fighting Viral and they're having this like epic battle, and then all of a sudden Bird Boy comes in his mech, and he's just like, fuck you guys, I'm gonna hold this chick hostage, and now Viral kill him, and then Simone is just like, Viral, this isn't fair, you're not gonna be satisfied with this. This isn't honorable, and Viral's like, God fucking damn it, he's right, it's not honorable, we can't do this, blah blah blah, and then does Dai-Gurren like smash into the ship?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no! It kicks. It launches itself into the air, and then it spin kicks the flying ship, which is, God, so good.
Yeah, Dai-Gurren is surprisingly very agile.
Mm-hmm. One might say too agile, but others would say, shut up to that guy, Greg.
But after this fight and going into episode 14, Dai-Gurren can now fly. In addition to Gurren Lagann, they took one of the gunmen that were flying and they like somehow morphed with it, and now he has a jetpack, which I think is badass.
It's so cool. It's so awesome.
And one thing I wanted to say, Joe, with also with episode 14, like to the next episode. So, did you see how now like the black siblings can combine together?
Yeah, but their combining is it's interesting because their combining is less like the actual polymerization of their mechs, and it's just like it transforms into like a spear and a shield, and then the other one kind of grabs it and then rides the other thing,
So
which I appreciated because they're like Gurren Lagann is special and it should remain that way, and then their mechs are like, yeah, we can combine, and I'm doing air quotes there, but it's not the same thing.
yeah, but the one thing I wanted to say with this is they're the combination when the three of them combine, it's literally the XYZ combination
I was just thinking
from
that.
from Kaiba's from Yu-Gi-Oh from Kaiba. It's literally this look up both and look at the design. It's not just the idea of like the way that it happens, the actual look of it during the final version, I'm like, holy shit, that's literally the XYZ fusion.
Yeah, even the color scheme is very. I think the only thing that's different isn't the it's yellow, red, and blue, and in this it's yellow,
Pink.
blue, and pink. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It was just one of those things where I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, that's a Yu-Gi-Oh reference.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. And so they're fighting all the people, all the mechs from Dai-Gurren and Dai-Gurren itself and Gurren Lagann. They're all fighting. It's an air and ground assault. You got Pigeon Boy in the air, obviously, and then you have Guam on the ground. Pigeon Boy is dispatched pretty easily. Guam is really the main threat, and that's because, as it turns out, Guam is 25% armadillo, 75% Beyblade.
Did you have that joke written down?
No, I wrote down that Guam is a Beyblade, but I came up with that percentage thing off the top of the dome right now. I'm a witty guy, Joe.
Yeah, yeah. Guam, like I said even in the earlier episodes, he's tough, man. I like him. And he's given Team Dai-Gurren a run for their money, but in this episode, we get more reinforcements.
Yeah, it's revealed like in one of the previous episodes when the Beastmen like projected all their shit. They're just like, haha, look at how much you guys suck. Other humans, look how much these humans suck. And then the humans win, and then everyone saw that and they're like, oh shit, now we're inspired to do that stuff. And so there's a bunch of like miniature Dai-Gurren like knockoff mech fortresses kind of coming all along, and they're just like, yeah, we're here to fight too.
Yeah, it's pretty badass. And one of the I can't remember. I had this note written down for episode 14. It's just sneak attack exclamation point.
Yeah,
I completely forget. Why is that? What was the end of episode?
it's
14?
because Gurren Lagann is digging underground.
Oh,
and
yes,
no one
yes.
realizes where it is. Yeah, and then all of a sudden he just fucking pops up, and he's just like, all right, this is it. And I think either that's the beginning or the end. No, that's the end of episode 14, I think, and then it carries over into episode 15, where all this other stuff happens, and it's very funny because they're just drilling into Guam's mech, and it starts flying up because they can't pierce it, and then Guam's like, reverse thrusters, and they're like, oh my god, we have to reverse thrust, and they reverse thrusters, they slam Gurren Lagann down, and everyone's like, oh no, Gurren Lagann's dead, what are we ever gonna do? But of course Gurren Lagann isn't dead. As it turns out, that impact was just what they needed to be able to pierce the the mech, and so then you have one of the strangest scenes I think thus far, where the Gurren Lagann's drill like extends through the mech and then shoots directly through Guam, and then in like slow mo, Guam is like spinning and saying shit, and it's very weird.
Super weird.
And then everything is ripped apart.
Yeah, yeah, I thought that was pretty weird too. But it was a cool. I liked the sneak attack.
Sneak attack.
And I think it was cool going into episode 15. Another just a little side note that I made is, in a couple other episodes, this narrator has popped up in this show, only for like maybe like 5 seconds. But Joe, I mean, I want to see if you remember, see if you agree with me. But the narrator, it sounds like the same narrator from Cowboy Bebop.
I would need to rewatch Cowboy Bebop. I wouldn't be surprised because this is anime in the early 2000s, so you know, there's probably not a whole lot of picking and choosing going on.
Yeah, it's like, this is the story of a man. Like, it sounds like the cop narrator, Manzo the Saw from Bebop. No,
yeah.
not Bebop. I'm sorry. Shampoo.
Oh, Shampoo.
I'm sorry. I was saying the wrong thing. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the narrator.
Yeah,
from
actually, I
Shampoo.
think it is the same guy.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry for saying Bebop. No, Shampoo. Yeah, the little narrator dude. He sounds so familiar. I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, and especially because we like just watched Shampoo. I'm like, come on. I'm like, am I tripping? No, I think I'm pretty good. I think we have a good ear for picking up voice actors.
Yeah, I think that would be correct. Yeah, so then we start episode 15, final episode of this arc. What's my first note is, Nia, get in the robot.
Yep, yeah. Freaking Simone's like, all right, we're doing this together, and you're gonna go see your dad, and
Mhm.
They're gonna go take on.
We're gonna go meet the parents. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. We find out that Teplin is actually a giant, like giant um, gunman,
Gunman.
and we also, but before they end up, breaking into like the main palace, I guess, and seeing Lord Genome, um, Genome talks to Viral, and he ends up giving him. Viral's like, what is the point of humans? Like, why? What are they? Like, and he's asking like these big like philosophical questions, and Lord Genome's like, all right, I will tell you, and we find out that he ended up giving Viral this body that like can't die. Um, but this is interesting. I don't know if I'm reading too much into this, or maybe this is something that comes up later. Um, I feel like you might have to tiptoe around this, but I had mentioned earlier in these episodes that I'm like, oh, look at that, or maybe I said this just talking to you. I'm like, oh, Viral, like if it's I spell it as Viral, like viral, but it's being pronounced Viral. And Lord Genome tells him like, oh, you're gonna be a storyteller, for the rest of the world, like the rest of history, to talk about like me and how I defeated them and how the humans shouldn't revolt. And I'm like, wait a minute, the guy's name is basically Viral, and he's a storyteller. I'm like, maybe that's a little connection. And then the other thing, I didn't make the connection till I saw Lord Genome's actual name written out. Um, his name, it's basically Lord Genome, like the
Yes.
genome of like
Like a DNA helix,
yeah.
like a spiral.
And so I have it written down. I'm like, I'm like, do names mean something? So I don't know if you can comment on that. Maybe not enough. I don't know.
I mean, it never like there's nothing that ever really comes up about
Oh,
that.
really? Interesting.
Yeah, no. Viral. I don't know if his name has anything to do with like going viral about stuff. I think that's more of just an interesting connection that you can make now. Um, because 2007, what went viral in 2007? YouTube came out in
Charlie
what
bit my finger.
2006, I guess. But I don't know if
Charlie the unicorn.
yes, I don't know if Japan was really like yeah. I mean, I guess viral's been around for a while before that, but I don't know. Interesting connections your brain made never come up.
Damn, I really thought this was gonna be a big thing.
Nope. Yo, this show is about massive tits and robots. You think they're gonna be that subtle with their shit?
I don't know. They're pretty. It's a pretty. This is. I'm gonna say this is a educated anime, highbrow anime.
This is highbrow content at its finest. Um, yeah. Also, this episode has my favorite climax with two drills and two kids screaming. It's very fun. I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah. We don't learn about this term, but we kind of get some info about the power of the spiral,
Hmm.
and it kind of confirms that Lagan and Simone's spiral core, I think is what Genome calls it, is super special, and he has this power called the spiral, the power of the spiral, which we don't know too much about, but I'm assuming that's that green energy that allows
Mm.
Simone to fuse and like do all that other stuff.
Oh, that's
And
just a shamrock shake.
I gotta say, I love Lord Genome's design. I think he's fucking cool. I like him with the fiery head. I love
Mm.
his mech. Holy shit, it is awesome.
It's so cool.
The fight is badass. Yeah, that final episode was awesome. That's a really good final episode. Um, I like the way he ended up dying. Um,
Joe,
what?
my note for that:
Oh, are you gonna say?
Simone turn. Simone turns on the Spiral King so well it kills him.
I'm gonna stop the
That's pretty
recording right
funny.
there. That's that. Oh
Yeah,
god. Oh god. I
that's pretty good.
I made a note that he looks like a hollow, so that's where my mind goes.
I mean, I mean, yeah, that too. But also, he turns him
No,
on
no, no.
so well it kills him. It's I did plan that one out. It was that I thought that was funny.
Okay. Moving on. So basically, the story's over, or is it?
Or
Um,
is it?
they destroy the Spiral King and take down all the generals. So what's next? You know,
Mm.
Lord Genome dies with a kind of like a prophecy or a final word saying like, um, once there are 1 million apes on this planet, like the moon will rain down like justice or something along those lines, where it's like once there's 1 million apes, the moon is gonna do something. And it was like these really weird. I don't know. I didn't pay too much attention to it. Um,
Yeah, we got the gist of it. He said something, blah, 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 million apes, blah, 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 moon rain destruction or something like that. I don't fucking know. Let's just keep on going.
yeah, and I don't know. They end the episode on a really high note. They end this arc on a high note where it's like, wow, like okay, like we did everything we needed to do. We're free, woohoo! And I really
Hmm.
was like, where is this gonna go? Is there gonna be a new villain or something like that? Like, what's happening? Um, and I'm just gonna say this now. I started the next arc yesterday, um,
Okay.
and I'm not gonna say anything about it. But
Okay.
yeah, that's it.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. Yeah, because when you're like, I don't know where this is going to go, I'm like, uh huh. Uh huh.
It went
And for all
somewhere.
those out there who don't know where it's going, it goes somewhere. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Joe, do you have anything else to add for episodes 9 through 15?
No, but I want to watch a lot of 16 through 27 this week, but I gotta find the time, man. I gotta fly.
Mm-hmm.
I think what's gonna end up happening is this is gonna be like a 1 day binge. Like I did the first two, I did 16 and 17, but I think like the next 10 are gonna be a binge in a day.
Honestly, that might be because, like, the way I first experienced it, I basically binged one half, then the other half. I think that's probably going to be the best thing to do. So, that little burp there, sorry. So, everyone, I will say to you all, watch this anime. It's very good. Watch it along with us. Catch up. And then, like, just be here for, I guess, just watch all of it because next week will be the conclusion of all this. But with that, I shall say, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, all the normal YouTube bullshittery. And we love you and we'll leave you. Kick out logic, do the impossible. Bye bye.